Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. In a moment, we're going to bring you this week's episode of Dragnet. But first, I do want to encourage you, if you're enjoying the podcast, to please follow us using your favorite podcast software. Our listener support and appreciation campaign continues. You can support the show on a one-time basis using the Zelle app. And I want to go ahead and thank Christopher for supporting the program that way. You can also become one of our ongoing Patreon supporters for as little as $2 per month by going to patreon.greatdetectives.net. And I want to thank Cassandra for becoming our latest Patreon supporter at the $1 or more per month. Thanks so much for your support, Cassandra. And I also want to go ahead and thank Matthias for upgrading his Patreon support from the rookie level to the Shamus level. Again, thank you so much for your support. Now, I spoke not too long ago on the Great Adventurers podcast about trigger warnings and how I generally don't use them, but this is an episode that had a advisory at the time, somewhat vaguely worded. I will encourage listeners to take that seriously. This one is a rough one. But that out of the way, let's go ahead. July 5th, 1951, here is The Big Love.
Ladies and gentlemen, this program is for you, not your children. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a homicide detail. A woman and her 2-year-old child disappear suddenly. There's no apparent reason for it. 5 days pass. No trace of them. Your job? Find them.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, April 20th. It was overcast in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Blaine Steed. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from communications, and it was 1:35 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Hi, Joe. What's doing?
Oh, not much, Mac. Where'd Ben go?
Inside, Captain's office. Be right back.
Oh, thank you. Keeping you busy?
Oh, about the same. A little hectic around the house, though.
Well, that's right. Ben mentioned something about that. You're getting ready for a wedding out there, aren't you?
Yep. My daughter, Alice. Sure getting a nice fella.
Is that so?
Yep. Ambitious kid. Part-time accountant. Goes to law school at night down Loyola. Real nice fella.
Mm-hmm. When are you getting married?
A week from Saturday. It's going to be a big church thing. Sure glad it doesn't happen often.
Oh, how do you mean?
Big production. Never saw so many bills in my life. New dress for Alice, going away luggage, bridesmaids' dresses, eats, drinks, new carpet for the hall, new curtains in the living room. Wife must think I'm made of this stuff.
Well, you should have had all boys, Mac.
Yeah.
You're giving your daughter away, huh?
Yeah. Well, that reminds me, I got to be sure and send my suit to cleaners, get a good press job on it. Sure is funny.
What's that?
It seems for years the wife's been afraid we'd never get Alice married off. Now it's finally in the works, the wife's still unhappy.
Oh, well, how's that?
Goes around moping around the house, wiping at her eyes, keeps muttering something about losing her little girl is leaving her. I don't know.
Well, how old's your daughter?
32. Well, I'll be down in Stats office if anybody wants me.
Right, Mac.
Yeah. Oh, pardon me, Ben.
Excuse me, I didn't see you.
Okay.
Hi, where you been?
Making a couple of phone calls. I think we might have something.
Yeah, what's that?
The Gorman case.
Huh?
Had a call from one of their neighbors while you were gone. Where was that calendar of ours?
Gee, I don't know. Well, here, I got one in my pocket here in my wallet.
Oh, good.
Here you are.
Oh, thanks.
Well, let's see now. Mrs. Gorman and her little girl Nancy disappeared on the 15th. Is that right?
Yeah, Thursday. Why?
And the husband, Mr. Gorman, filed a missing complaint on Friday morning, right?
Yeah. What are you getting at?
Well, you remember when we talked to Mr. Gorman, he couldn't think of any reason why his wife and his little girl should disappear like they did.
Yeah.
Remember me asking him the question if his wife ran around at all, if she was interested in any other man?
That's right. He told you no, didn't he?
This man who just called in, he lives out in the Gorman neighborhood. He swears up and down that Mrs. Gorman was keeping company with another man.
Well, who is this neighbor, anyway?
Name's John Pearson. He lives about 4 blocks from the Gormans.
Well, we talked to neighbors a lot closer than that to the Gormans. They didn't seem to know anything about it. What else did this guy tell you?
Well, let's see. The man Mrs. Gorman was supposed to be running out with is a Ralph Kane. Lives next door to Mr. Pearson.
Well, how'd this Pearson sound to you?
Pretty typical neighborhood watchdog. But here's the interesting part. Mrs. Gorman and little daughter Nancy disappeared last Thursday. Now, according to Pearson, this Ralph Kane hasn't been seen around since Friday night. He told me on the phone he saw Kane toss a couple of suitcases in his car late Friday night and drive off. So he hasn't come back yet.
Yeah, it might be something. Well, how much of a romance was Mrs. Gorman supposed to be having with this Ralph Kane?
Well, it's pretty heavy, according to Pearson. Said it's been going on for 6 months, anyhow.
And Mr. Gorman didn't know anything about it?
He got me there. If he did, he didn't let us in on it. Wonder if he'd have any reason to cover it up.
Well, it's possible, I guess. Didn't want the scandal. How sure are you that Ralph Kane's really missing? Might be just off on a weekend, huh?
No, I checked the place he worked. He's a printer. Didn't show up for work Monday. Didn't show up today either.
No message, no excuse?
Nothing. I called a friend of Kane's that Pearson knew about. Friend doesn't know where he's gone.
Well, I guess we better get on it. It's the first decent lead in 5 days. Huh?
Yeah. Just thinking, Joe. Neighbors like Pearson. What would we do without him?
5 days before, on a Thursday evening, a Mr. Philip Gorman returned to his home in the Westlake district of Los Angeles to find his wife, Barbara Gorman, and his 2-year-old daughter, Nancy, missing. There wasn't any note, no explanation of any kind. A few clothes were gone. Mr. Gorman filed a missing report, and a broadcast and an APB were gotten out on the mother and daughter. Neighbors, friends, and relatives were checked. No leads. Routine investigation failed to turn up anything. Mr. Gorman could give us no explanation for the disappearance. After 3 days, we got out a radiogram. Still no results. Tuesday, 1:50 p.m. Ben and I got in the car and drove out to see John Pearson, who'd phoned in the information about Mrs. Gorman's supposed boyfriend, Ralph Kane. We found Pearson out on the back porch of his home, feeding some milk to a pair of house cats.
I thought everybody knew that, Sergeant. Mrs. Gorman running around with that Ralph Kane. I'm no busybody. I wouldn't have mentioned it all if this hadn't happened.
You say Kane had been seeing Mrs. Gorman for the last 6 months. Is that right, Mr. Pearson?
About 6 months. That's how long I've seen it go on. Now, James, don't be such a hog. Let Fred have some of the milk, too. Greedy little devils.
Do you know of anybody else in the neighborhood who's been aware of this, Mr. Pearson? I mean, Mrs. Gorman and this Ralph Kane?
Well, I know for sure that Thelma White next door knows about it. She's mentioned it to me. Kane used to park with Mrs. Gorman near that vacant lot by Thelma's house. Those were the nights that Mr. Gorman was working late.
Would you know if Mr. Gorman was aware of this, that his wife was running around with another man?
I'm pretty sure he did, Sergeant. That's the strange part about it.
Well, how do you know, sir?
George, the man who delivers the groceries, he just happened to mention it to me once. All right, James. Right, it's all gone. Now run off and play. Yes, George, the grocery man, he made a delivery to the Gormans once and heard them rowing about it. George said Mr. Gorman was very mad, talked divorce, all that sort of thing.
Well, how about the Gorman's little girl, Mr. Pearson, little Nancy?
Tragic, Sergeant. Such a sweet little thing. Mrs. Gorman kept her under an iron hand. Imagine, the little girl's only 2 years old. Mrs. Gorman was after her with a stick all the time. She's not much of a mother. Not the way I look at it, anyway.
Well, what's your opinion of all this? Do you think that Ralph Kane has run off with Miss Gorman?
Well, what else can you think? 2 of them carry on for 6 months. Mrs. Gorman disappears Thursday. Mr. Kane leaves Friday night. What else can you think?
This neighbor of yours, Thelma White, does she live in this house over here, over on the right?
Yeah, that's right next door. You go over and talk to her. She's home now. Thelma will tell you the same thing I did.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Not at all, Sergeant. Just one thing I can't understand about Mrs. Gorman's little girl, little Nancy. Can't quite understand why she's gone. Doesn't seem to fit somehow.
How do you mean?
If you're going to run off with a man, you don't take your family along.
2:15 p.m. We went next door and talked with a neighbor, Thelma White. She told us the same story as Pearson. From the 2 of them, we got the description. DMV furnished us with the license number of Ralph Kane's car. We checked further with Kane's friends, relatives, and his landlady. No one had seen or heard from him since late Friday. We searched the duplex where he lived. No leads. We went back to the office and checked Kane through R&I. He had one arrest for petty theft. We got out a broadcast and an APB on him. Well, that night, Ben and I drove out to see the husband and father of the missing woman and youngster, Philip Gorman. He was employed as a groundskeeper at one of the baseball parks in the city.
Pretty fair turnout tonight, huh?
Yeah. Weather's cleared up a little. Probably helped, huh? Where's the groundkeeper shack? Down at the end there?
Yeah, you can't see it from here. It's just below the end of the bleachers there.
Oh. You come out here very often?
Not as often as I'd like to. It's down this way.
Okay.
Watch your step there, Joey's a mud puddle.
Yeah, I see it.
Sorry, you'll have to get back in the stands. You're not allowed down this end.
How are you, Mr. Gorman? Friday and Romero. You remember that?
Yeah, sure. I didn't recognize you for a minute.
You got a few minutes, Mr. Gorman? We'd like to talk to you if we could.
We're sure right now if you want. You found out something about the wife, little girl?
No, sir, nothing definite. Got a few questions we'd like to ask you.
Well, that's fine with me. I got nothing to do for a couple more innings. What's it all about?
Well, when we talked to you at your house the other day, Gorman, you remember me asking if you could think of any reason why your wife and your little girl should disappear like you did?
Yeah, I remember. There's nothing I can think of, Sergeant.
Well, do you recall us asking you if your wife might have been interested in some other man, somebody she might go off with?
Yeah, I remember all that. I told you I didn't think that was it.
Well, now, look, if you know something and you're not telling us because you don't want the scandal, you can forget that, Gorman, because whatever you tell us is in strict confidence, you know.
I don't know what you mean, Sergeant. I told you everything I know.
Well, we'll be honest with you, Gorman. We think you're trying to cover up.
Well, that's not true. I don't have anything to cover up.
We picked up some new information on your wife this afternoon. We hear she was pretty friendly with a man named Ralph Kane. Lives a few blocks from your house. We hear that you knew what was going on. You and your wife, Barbara, had a row. You talked divorce. How about it?
Well, let's go inside the shack here, huh? Get away from some of this noise.
Fine, sure.
I hope you don't mind it in here. It's a little dirty. I keep all the maintenance stuff in here.
That's all right, Gorman. Now, how about Ralph Kane?
Yeah. I knew about it. It's like you said, all the scandal. I just didn't want it to get out.
Well, look, if you're going to hold out on us, it's not going to help much to find your wife and little girl.
Yeah, I know, Sergeant. I just didn't want people to find out what a bum I married. You know what some neighbors are like.
Mm-hmm.
I can't understand how it happened. I met the wife when I was in the Army.
I see.
I brought her back out here. Everything was fine. After the baby was born, she started to change. Nothing satisfied her. She began to run around. Nothing but a bum, but I guess I found out too late.
Well, now, this Ralph Kane, what do you know about him?
You know, he's a single guy. Works at a print shop downtown. Pretty good-looking guy. He's got money to spend. That's all Barbara cares about.
Well, what's your idea about it?
What?
You think Kane and your wife have gone off together?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure. Maybe they did. I've been trying to check around them all. I'm not getting very far. There's only one thing I'm really worried about. That's my little girl, Nancy. I don't care what my wife does or how far she goes. I just want my little girl back, that's all.
Well, you any idea at all where your wife might have gone?
No, none at all. She didn't know California too well. She's only been out here a year.
Mm-hmm. You don't know any of Kane's friends, his hangouts, or places you think he might go?
No. Well, I never even met the guy, Sergeant. I'm going to, though. I know what he looks like. I'll meet him.
Well, there's just one more thing, Gorman. If your wife was set on running off with another man, why did you take your little girl with her? She wasn't too devoted to the baby, I understand.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's got me worried. The only thing I can figure out is the wife hated me more than I thought. She knew that I thought Nancy's about the greatest thing alive. I guess rather than let me have her, she took Nancy along with her.
Was it possible she might drop the baby off with some friend or relative and tell them to keep
Well,
her?
I've checked on that already, Sergeant. You got the names of all the people we know. I'm sure they'd get in touch with me if they had Nancy.
Well, we'll double-check them anyhow.
All right.
Now, if there's anything else comes up, you let us know right away, huh?
All right, Sergeant. It's just the baby, that's all, Nancy. As far as I'm concerned, my wife never lived. It's kind of hard to take in a way.
Yes, it is.
Think you got the finest setup in the world. Nice home, job, baby, good furniture, everything you need.
Yeah.
Everything but a wife.
The search for the missing wife and the 2-year-old daughter went on. The broadcasts and teletypes on Mrs. Gorman and Ralph Kane failed to net us a thing. A week passed. There were no leads. Another week went by. Nothing. The half-dozen replies we'd gotten on our teletype went nowhere. They were blind leads. Wednesday, May 5th. We got a call from the manager of an auto court in the south end of the city. He told us that a man, a woman, and a little girl, answering the description of the missing trio, had stopped at his place the night before. Along with Jack McCready from Homicide, Ben and I drove out and interviewed the man. We showed him pictures of Kane, Mrs. Gorman, and 2-year-old Nancy. He identified all three. He could give us no idea where they'd gone. We checked through the cottage where they stayed.
No, nothing. Just about as clean as you can get.
A little something here.
Huh? What's that?
Look here. Kid's picture book. Let's see. Yeah, take a look right here.
Oh, this book belongs to Nancy Gorman. Well, we know they were here. That's about it.
Hey, Ben? Joe?
Yeah, Mac. Where are you?
Out in the back. Come here.
All right.
What have you got?
Come here, have a look.
Where'd you find that?
Poking around this trash barrel here. Looks like part of a little girl's dress, huh?
Yeah, there's not much there. Did you find the rest of it?
Well, that's all there is, just that little collar.
Take a look here, Ben. These stains right here, over here, too.
Yeah. What do you think?
Mac, blood stains?
I'd say so.
We drove back to the office to the crime lab and had Lee Jones run the stains on the dress. He ran a benzodine test and then a biological precipitant. The stains were made by human blood. Well, it still didn't put us any closer to the missing child or her mother. The search went on. We redoubled our efforts. No luck. Another 10 days passed. We had a few more responses to our all-points bulletin, but none of them panned out. On May 16th, we got 2 more leads to check out. They went nowhere. We got back to the office a little after 6 p.m.
Better call Mr. Gorman after we check in, huh? Keep him off of our backs.
Yeah, I hate to keep telling him the same thing. No word.
Yeah.
How about it? You call Gorman tonight, huh?
All right. Mac, what's doing?
Got something for you. Sheriff's substation called, East L.A.
Yeah, what about?
The Gorman case, they found him.
Where?
Another auto court right there in East L.A. Ralph Kane and Mrs. Gorman, they got them both under surveillance.
Well, how about the little girl, Nancy?
Well, that's a hitch.
Huh?
No sign of her.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official files.
Saturday, May 16th, 9 p.m. Along with Levinson and McCready from Homicide, Ben and I drove out to the sheriff's substation in the east end of the city. One of the deputy sheriffs directed us to the motor court where Mrs. Barbara Gorman and Ralph Kane were under surveillance. We found the 2 of them in one of the rear cottages. There was no trace of 2-year-old Nancy Gorman. Levinson and McCready took Ralph Kane out to the car to interrogate him. Ben and I remained in the cottage with Mrs. Gorman. She was a tall blonde, thin-faced and nervous. She spoke with a decided accent. We questioned her for more than 2 hours. We got nowhere.
Why don't you sit down, Mrs. Gorman? Relax.
How can anyone relax? These questions. You have no right to do this.
Well, maybe you haven't got it straight, Miss Gorman. This is a pretty important matter. We'd like to find out about your little girl.
I told you I don't know. She ran away.
Yes, ma'am. Now, we've had 10 different versions. You stopped at a hotel in Nevada and she disappeared. You were at an auto court in Bakersfield. She ran away during the night. We've heard just about all of them. Now, how about the truth?
I've told you everything I'm going to tell you. I don't know what's happened to the kid. She's gone, that's all. She's gone.
There's got to be an explanation for it. Where is she gone?
She ran away. How many times do I have to tell you? I left with Raph. We went out of the city. After a few days, Nancy got lonesome. She wanted to see her father. We were asleep one night, and she ran away. That's all there is to it. It's simple. Why can't you understand?
Well, you're going to have to do better than that, Miss Gorman. Now, how about the truth? What happened?
You can't keep me here all night. Where's Raph? I want Raph.
Why'd you take the child with you in the first place, Miss Gorman? It's pretty obvious that you didn't want her. Did Kane want you to take her along?
Oh, no. He wanted me to leave her. Just he and I. That's all he wanted. Should have left her there, all this trouble, questions.
There's an easy remedy, ma'am. What'd you really do with the little girl?
She wandered off. It's the truth. We didn't know it. She wandered off. We couldn't help it.
How about the little dress we found in that auto court with stains on it?
Same questions. You always ask the same questions.
What about the dress, ma'am?
Do I always have to repeat? I told you. Raph cut his hand. He was shaving. It was just an old dress, a rag. Raph bandaged his hand with it.
Well, you usually wear bandages a while, don't you? You don't just throw them away.
It was only a scratch. You didn't need the rag very long.
Quite a few stains on the dress, ma'am. Must have been more than just a scratch.
No, it was just a scratch. Can't you believe anything I say?
No, not so far.
Please. Can't I go outside for a few minutes? I have a headache. It's so hot in here.
All right, Miss Gorman. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, thanks.
The air, it's so good. Terrible headache.
You mind telling us something, Miss Gorman?
Please, can't you let me alone for a minute?
Why did you leave your husband?
Him? Any woman would leave him. It's Raph. I love Raph.
And your little girl, what about her?
My husband wanted her, not me. I'm just not like that. I didn't want her in the first place. It was a mistake. A terrible mistake.
Is that why you got rid of her?
What?
Now, it's pretty obvious by this time, ma'am. When you left your husband, you took your little girl along for spite. Kane didn't want her. You found out you didn't either, so you got rid of her. Now, is that it?
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that at all.
Joe, Ben?
Yeah, Mac, over here.
Kane's given us half the story. Shouldn't be too hard to get the rest.
It's a lie. There's no story to tell. If Nancy ran away, that's all we know.
Mac?
Kane says they tried some kind of a death pact. He and Mrs. Gorman here got in a room and turned on the gas.
He didn't tell you. He didn't tell you.
Afraid so, ma'am. That's your boyfriend's story.
What else, Mac?
Well, as I say, Kane and Mrs. Gorman got in a room, agreed to end it all. They had a little girl with them in the room.
Well, why was that?
Kane says he doesn't know. Seemed to simplify things, having the kid with him.
He tell you what happened?
Yeah, they turned on the gas
No.
jets.
Don't. Never mind.
Miss Gorman?
Never mind. You don't have to say it.
You want to tell us about it? Miss Gorman?
Yes, I'll tell you.
3 a.m. We went back inside the cottage at the auto court. We gave her a cigarette, and Barbara Gorman sat down and told us the story. 4 days after she'd left with her 2-year-old daughter and Ralph Kane, she knew she'd made a mistake. She admitted that she never should have taken the child. She said the little girl seemed to be in their way all the time. Kane was all for deserting the child or sending her back to her father. Mrs. Gorman wouldn't agree to it, just out of pure spite. One night in an auto court, she and Kane had a big drinking party. They brooded over the mix-up that they'd gotten themselves into. Kane didn't have any money to get married. He knew he'd lost his job. Even if they could get married, Mrs. Gorman wasn't sure she could get a divorce. Another full day and night of drinking, and they decided on a lover's death pact. They turned on the gas.
I don't get it, Mrs. Gorman. Why'd you have your little girl in the room with you? Why didn't you leave her with somebody, with anybody?
Why? She was mine, wasn't she? I thought we could go together, all three of us, but it didn't work that way.
Well, what happened?
Well, Raph and I woke up. Throats were burning. My eyes were burning. Looked over at Nancy. She wasn't moving. It was just like she was asleep.
And what'd you do then?
We got in the car and left. We found a nice place in the desert. There were nice flowers there. We buried Nancy.
How about you and Ralph Kane? You knew you were in deeper. Why didn't you try it again?
Oh, we did, a couple of times. We loved each other. It's the only thing we could do, but every time we tried, we couldn't go through with it. We'd try. We never could finish it. Raph got a job. We were going to buy a gun. Tomorrow. We'd try again.
Can you show us where you buried your little girl?
Yes. Place in the desert, out near Palm Springs. It was a nice place. There's lots of nice flowers around. You understand, don't you? We were in love, Raph and I.
Yeah.
My husband wouldn't understand the way I loved Raph. It was everything. It was the whole world, Raph and I. I didn't mean it that way for Nancy. It was a mistake. You've got to understand I didn't mean it that way.
That's the way it is.
It doesn't matter. You can't hurt us, not Raph and I. You can't take away what we've got. You'll never take that away.
All right, you want to get your coat?
Yes. It doesn't matter what happens. It's for Raph. I don't care what they do. I'll keep on loving him. The same way I love him now. Doesn't matter. We'll pay for our mistakes.
Yeah, lady. They're going to cost you. At 5 a.m., we put in a call for Lieutenant Lee Jones and the crime lab crew and the coroner. When they arrived at the auto court, we drove to the spot in the desert near Palm Springs where Ralph Kane and Mrs. Gorman pointed out the spot where they'd buried Nancy. The body was uncovered at the exact spot. It was taken back to town to the county morgue, where an autopsy was performed. Kane and Mrs. Gorman were booked on suspicion of murder. By 5 o'clock that afternoon, we had the results of the autopsy.
Yeah, Doctor. Uh-huh. Right. Thank you. Bye.
What's the story, Mac?
Not what we thought.
Well, how do you mean?
I think Mrs. Gorman sold us a bill of goods. Little girl didn't die in a room full of gas.
What'd the doc say?
He found 2 bullet holes in the body.
That night, after hours of interrogation, Ralph Kane and Mrs. Barbara Gorman both broke down and confessed that they'd killed the child in cold blood. They pleaded drunkenness, that they weren't responsible for their actions. They were returned to their cells and held without bail. The child's father, Philip Gorman, was notified. The following morning, Ben and I accompanied him to the county morgue.
It's this way, Mr. Gorman.
Oh, thanks.
You sure you want to go through with this, sir? Mr. Gorman?
Well, I might as well tell you the truth. I'm not sure I do.
It isn't going to help much, Mr. Gorman. Believe me, it isn't.
I just wanted to see you just once more.
Yeah, well, it doesn't work out. Wouldn't be the same. Not the way you remember.
Just wanted to see you. I just wanted to find out.
What's that?
About her mother, Ralph Kane. What is it that could make them do it? Little girl, she's only 2. What can make anybody do a thing like that?
Your wife called it love.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 10th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 89, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. Mrs. Barbara Gorman and Ralph Donald Kane were tried and convicted in Superior Court of murder in the first degree. Mrs. Gorman was sentenced to life imprisonment. Kane received the death penalty. He was executed at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bill of Rights section of the United States Constitution protects our freedom. Today, that freedom is endangered by tyranny and aggression. Every American must help make our free government an example to all peoples by dedicating himself to a constant, active citizenship. Freedom needs you.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
Welcome back. This is one of those stories that now that I'm a dad, it just hits really differently, really hard. What these two people did, I don't have words, at least not edifying words. The suicide pact story was bad enough, but what actually happened was just horrific. The outcome speaks to the reluctance of juries to give women the death penalty, and that's the only explanation for why she would not have been executed. On the production side, the opening lighthearted scene, I'm sure I've heard before. I'm just not sure where. I thought that it was The Big Pair, but I went and listened to that, and it had a different wedding-related opener. The one odd part of this episode was where Joe Friday's narration told us the woman spoke with a heavy accent. That's one of those things that you shouldn't have to include in narration. That should be obvious in an audio production and kind of irrelevant if you were doing the Dragnet TV thing, where they occasionally did, where you'll just show them talking but not actually show the sound and have Friday summarize what's said. The accent that she used is actually kind of vaguely European than anything I can specifically identify. Maybe it was out of some sensitivity to issues with making it too specific given the nature of the crime. You had many displaced persons in the world, and many who had immigrated to the United States or wanted to immigrate to the United States. So highlighting a specific nationality may have been something they wanted to avoid. Listener comments and feedback now. Christopher writes, Love Nightbeat. Been listening since 1985 and now to your podcast. Thank you, Adam. Well, thank you, Christopher. Really do appreciate your support and your listening to the podcast. And we have some comments regarding the episode The Big Run. Dawn writes, it may just be my point of view, but 58 isn't elderly in regards to the age of one of the victims. Come on, Joe. And Naomi Joe says, Dawn, you beat me to it. I had to rewind to check I'd heard it correctly. Mechanic 66 pointed out, maybe not, but Jack Webb died at 61. People tend to live longer now, although lifespan for Americans is on a downward trajectory. I think it's an interesting point, and I always want to be careful and sensitive to my audience. And a lot of people, you hear your own age described as elderly, and you kind of go, hey! I do think that, to expand on what Mechanic 66 said, life was harder in the past, the further you go back. And you don't have to go back to this era. There have been many points about how actors used to look older. You can go as recent as the first season of Seinfeld. Jason Alexander was 29 when he filmed that first season. Does not look 29. Apologies to Mr. Alexander, but he doesn't. At least not, like a modern 29-year-old. And it's even more stark. One I saw compared Carol O'Connor at the age he started doing All in the Family to Paul Rudd, much older than O'Connor was then. And while there might be some Hollywood magic involved, even looking at non-celebrity photos, through the family albums, people just looked older. And I think life took more of a toll. You tended to have more people who were involved in hard physical labor. And there were so many things about diet and the way we took care of ourselves, and then just the things that people had been through. If you were a 58-year-old woman in 1951, you were born in 1893, you'd been through 2 world wars and a Great Depression, and who knows what other hardships. And that will age a body. And we actually had a really good episode of the Old Time Radio Snack Wagon we did with a couple of commentaries and stories by that great storyteller John Nesbitt about how life had become far more easy and convenient and healthy in the time between when he'd been a boy back towards the turn of the century and the 1940s. And it's been an even more dramatic turn since then. And people will say things like your 40s are the new 30s, or your 60s are the new 40s. Well, there had to be an old 30s and an old 40s. And I will say that whether 58 would be considered elderly or not, I remember growing up in the 80s and into the 90s that there were restaurants where the senior menu was something you got when you were 55. And I actually figured out and told my dad how many years until he could get the senior discount. He was not pleased at the prospect, but it was a different time, and whether he was technically correct or not even then, I think that it was something that could have had some merit. Also on Spotify, Mechanic 66 writes, once again, Joe Friday makes an arrest that any competent defense attorney would have been able to get thrown out for an illegal search. If you have to clean the window to see inside the garage, it's not in plain sight. And we know they would never have lied about that in court. Well, I appreciate the comment. The thing is, when it comes to questioning the legality of Friday's actions, they're often based on modern interpretations of the case law. The criminal case law in regards to criminal procedure, arrest, due process, and the interpretation of the Fourth Amendment is something that has evolved over time. And we also have to keep in mind, while the Dragnet episodes were released in 1951, the cases they were based on could have occurred many years prior. At the time of Dragnet in 1951, the controlling case regarding the exclusion of illegally obtained evidence was the 1949 case Wolf versus Colorado, in which they found the exclusionary rule, which they had applied to the federal government since 1914, was only adopted by 17 states, 30 others had rejected it, and that it was not a departure from the basic standards of due process to allow states to introduce illegally obtained evidence in state trials. This would not be overturned until 1961, or 10 years after this episode aired. So if this story happened in 1961 rather than 1951 or before, yeah, it would get thrown out in state court, but it didn't. Now, Dragnet did acknowledge when laws changed, although not often in a supportive manner. One of the last radio episodes of Dragnet, The Big Ruling, has Friday none too happy with evidence being thrown out as a result of a new ruling he hadn't kept up on. And subsequent Dragnet seasons, when the series returned in the 1960s, showed how criminals were able to take advantage of loopholes. In the 1966 Dragnet TV movie, many viewers resonated and still resonate with his quirk in the law speed. Yet the Dragnet universe, I guess if you want to call it, could also be a bit more balanced in terms of what is the duty of the policeman. It is the duty to follow the law as it exists. One of my favorite episodes of Adam 12 is called The Dinosaur, and it is about a police officer who had been amazing and heroic and had actually been someone that the hero of Adam 12, Pete Malloy, looked up to. But he had been injured in the line of duty, and he spent 8 years out of the force and came back. But when he came back, he was stuck in the old ways he had been doing things. And as a result, criminals got let off. And a woman nearly died as a result. And at this point, Malloy had kind of emerged into more of a leadership role. Not a sergeant left, but he just told the guy to pack it in. He said, people need to grow with change, and you didn't have that chance. It illustrated the degree to which police procedures and the expectations of them in their jobs had changed over the few years as a result of various court rulings. And I guess as an aside, that also might be one reason why the 1950s Dragnet kind of disappeared from circulation. One of the appeals of Dragnet was that it showed the police in action, how they worked. But when how they worked had changed radically, you also, of course, did have the appeal of the color episodes, but it made sense probably to stop syndicating the show. It is fair to question whether an arrest today would have been allowed or whether the evidence would be thrown out today or, even a few years after the fact. But the fact is that it probably would not have been thrown out in 1951 because the exclusionary rule was not operative in most states in the Union. Now it's time to thank our Patreon supporter of the day, and I want to go ahead and thank Robert, Patreon supporter since August 2016, currently supporting the podcast at the Detective Sergeant level of $7.14 or more per month. Thanks so much for your support, Robert, and that will do it for today. If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow us using your favorite podcast software. And if you're enjoying the podcast on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and mark the notification bell. Join us back here next Thursday for another episode of Dragnet. And next Monday, be sure and listen for Danger with Granger. But join us back here tomorrow for yours truly, Johnny Dollar, where...
I take it you and your husband haven't been too happy together recently.
We haven't. That's why I'm not sitting around moping and moaning and weeping over his passing.
And you have no idea what might have happened to him?
No. That is.
Yes? Well,
that is, unless he got drowned or something like that on one of his silly fishing expeditions. Or unless someone found out how much money he was carrying and killed him for that.
He took a great deal of money with him?
Yes, he always did.
How much, Mrs. Halford?
He never told me. But it was thousands of dollars, you may be sure of that.
He left here in February?
Yes. The weather was too cold in Florida. Too cold all along the Atlantic coast. At least that's what he said in his regular weekly postcard. So he tried up in Alabama, then Tennessee, and then Kentucky, and then heaven knows where. Then in April, he come back here. How long he was here, I don't know. I was in Fort Wayne for a few days.
Then how do you know he was here at all?
He moved one of the chairs in the living room to get to the floor safe, to get some more money to waste on fishing.
Well, how do you know he was going fishing again?
Because of the note he left in the big freezer with the fish he brought back to put into it.
Oh. May I see that note?
I don't know why not. If the Missing Persons Bureau down in Fort Wayne are willing to show it to you.
Oh, I see. And you're sure your husband left no clue as to where he was going?
I'm very sure. Mr. Dollar.
Yes?
My husband is dead. If he weren't, I would have heard from him. You're doing nothing but wasting your time here. My time. I've told everything I know to the police over and over again. If you think you can accomplish more than they have, why don't you go down there and talk with Lieutenant Bascom?
I hope you'll be with us then. In the meantime, send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and check us out on Instagram. Instagram.com/Great Detectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.